Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF Bets race of the day for Thursday, January the 25th, race number 3 at Aqueduct. It's the $100,000 Busanda Stakes, and if you sign up to DRF Bets right now, you can access a $200 free bet, no deposit required. All you have to do is go to drf.com/join and use the promo code FREEBET09. Let's take a look at this field of 3-year-old fillies getting ready to travel a demanding 1.1 miles at the Big A. You can head on over to the Race of the Day event page on drf.com, download free formulator past performances for this race. Matt, if you believe that distance is the greatest handicapping factor in this year's Busanda, I think you have to consider the #1 Midnight Disguise. While this will be her first start past a mile and her first start around 2 turns, boy, just watching her on the video, she just looks like this big, gigantic filly that's going to appreciate even more distance.
Yeah, she really does look like a Hulk out there, and I just kind of wonder if she is that kind of horse that wants to stay on but isn't going to do anything, brilliant or flashy. I think she's just going to go on, chug along. If it comes down to a war of attrition, then I think she does certainly have a chance.
She's back in against Open Company after finishing second in the Eastview Stakes for New York breds, a race won by the favorite English Soul, and Midnight Disguise was giving ground most of the way. The jock was pumping on her on the turn to get her going, get that big engine revved up, and she eventually finished second. I think she is interesting at a price. I think 7-2 is a little light in this field.
Yeah, I don't want her at that price, but I agree with you. If all of a sudden she floats up into that 6-7 to 1 range, maybe I wouldn't be enticed enough to bet her to win, but maybe I'd use her underneath.
The 2 is old-fashioned style. She's got some credentials. She has already graded stakes place, having finished second in the Tempted, going a 1-turn mile at Aqueduct. Last time out, she was in a tough spot, the Gin Talking Stakes at Laurel, and after about the first quarter mile, she was checked back into mid-pack, but after that, I really thought that was a fast pace. I expected a little bit more, although it did look like the jock had kind of given up at about the quarter pole.
Yeah, I think Busanda kind of took care of her at that point when he realized she wasn't going to go on with it, but I agree, there was no sort of finish down the lane. She was sandwiched in between. She steadied early on, and like you say, I wonder if there was a combination of things that threw her out of her game. You go through and look at her past performances. She usually likes to be a little bit closer than she was able to get that day. I guess my bigger concern is going back to the Tempted 2 starts back. She pressed the pace throughout, and I thought she just flattened down the lane. I don't know how far she wants to go.
I think that's really a key, because it looked like she was head-and-head with the winner of the Tempted. They were both on a rather moderate pace. And that other horse just ran away from her the last 1/8 of a mile, and maybe that horse is just better, or maybe old-fashioned style doesn't want to step too far past a mile. The 3 is Wealth Effect, and you get the feeling that Wealth Effect, considering the pedigree, is really going to appreciate the distance. She made her dirt debut most recently, and while she was the beaten favorite, she was really up against it from a pace standpoint.
I was going to say, a couple things didn't work in her favor. They didn't go that fast early on. She came from a few lengths out of it. She made that nice sort of move down on the inside, came on, really looked like she was going to threaten the winner that day. But Wall of Compassion stayed on, and I thought both of them, all things considered, it felt like as you got closer to the wire, this filly, Wealth Effect, started slowly grinding away. Then on the gallop out, both of the top 2 finishers went on with it nicely. I mean, this is a horse that, okay, she hasn't gone 2 turns on dirt yet, but she's gone 2 turns on turf. She broke her maiden 2 turns on turf. Well, turn and a half, if you will, by on 16th at Belmont. But I kind of feel like distance is going to be her friend, where maybe it's not for some of the other girls.
Now, maybe the pace was against her last time out. As we see by the Timeform U.S. Pace Projector ratings, perhaps it could be against the 3 Wealth Effect again, because she is really far in the back of the field on this pace projector, and that blue bar indicates that our friends at Timeform US believe that this race could favor horses on or near the early lead. Does this pace projector worry you?
Yeah, if you think that that's how it's going to play out.
Exactly. Got to handicap it.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wonders, it certainly could favor horses on or near the early lead, but it wouldn't surprise me if this thing turned into what looks more like a turf race, where everyone is bunched up. You throw a blanket over the field, there's about 4 lengths that cover from front to back. If that's the case, I don't really think that the pace is going to necessarily be the end-all be-all. I think it's a matter of who can see out the distance.
The horse leading the projector is the 4, Take Charge Tina, who just went gate to wire at Parks in a maiden special weight. And we have a positive formulator fact for her trainer, Tom Albertrani. Over the past 4 years with last out maiden winning 3-year-olds, off a little layoff on dirt, limited positive data, 33%, but best of all, from a gambling perspective, that big ROI of almost $7.50. While this horse really improved with the drop in class to Parks, boy, that was just a putrid field she beat.
It was about as bad as you're going to find. I mean, you take a look at some of the buyers that have come back. The 3rd place finisher earned a 1. The 4th place finisher a 30, and the 5th place finisher a -0. So I mean, that's about as bad a field as you're going to find. Having said that, watching her, she did it all the right way. She went out there, she set relatively soft fractions. But I love the fact that when Carmouche gave her a little bit of a crack, she quickened. It was nice. It looked good. It was also worth noting, okay, she got away from made in special company up here in New York, and that run 2 starts back, she faced a really, really salty field. The winner that day next out with an 86, 75, 74, some better buyers in there. That was the first time she went 2 turns was at Parks, and I wonder if the 2-turn configuration is going to be to her liking.
The horse that beats your morning line favorite, that's the number 5, Hale. Dylan Davis has the mount for the Great Bill Mott, 8-5 on the morning line. And with the exception of old-fashioned style 71 Beyer speed figure in the Tempted, both of Hale's Beyer speed figures is better than anything else this field has ever earned. She won her race last time out. It was a hard-to-rate race because it was run in a driving snowstorm. I believe the races were canceled after 4 that day. She looked okay. She has tactical speed. She's got a great pedigree. She's got the figs. All that equals favorite.
Yeah, she's going to be a short price in this spot. You look at the pedigree, like you say, half to close hatches, half to lockdown, who we've seen. So obviously the breeding is there, and she's by Tappet. The interesting thing is going to be see Lasix on. How short a price do you want? And I also would just throw the kind of whatever you want to call it out there that you mentioned. It was basically running a blizzard. It's listed as fast.
That's a good point.
I don't know if it was fast or there had to be some moisture in the racetrack, and I just wonder, again, another thing, favorite, doing first time, something else, 2 turns, all that kind of stuff. She makes a lot of sense, but at a short number, I'd probably play against.
The 6 in Cleveland goes out for Todd Pletcher. Like the 4, Take Charge Tina, this one needed a trip to Parks to graduate. 3rd, well-beaten 3rd in that race that included Wealth Effect last time out. She can be close to the pace. I think she would benefit if the pace is slow, but she's really got to improve, even for the great Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, she needs to move up. That most recent run, I don't want to totally hold against her. She was hung wide throughout, but she just kind of plugged along down the lane, and she was beaten by about 1/8 of a mile.
Let's take a look at our top picks for Thursday's DRF Bets Race of the Day. You're going with Wealth Effect, 5-2 on the morning line, hoping that maybe the 6 keeps the 4 honest on the lead, and that Junior Alvarado can motivate Wealth Effect into a stalking range. Maybe this race turns into a stamina contest.
Yeah, kind of the way that I look at the race, I feel like the 2 morning line favorites are the 2 horses to beat in this spot, and I think if I were playing the race individually, I'd probably use those 2, but also I want to try to get Albertrani's horse into it because, again, from the pace projector standpoint, and also that 2 turns, she seemed to really wake up. Like, you know, she beat an absolutely terrible field, but you know, at a big number, she's one that I would try to fool around with, but I do like Chad's horse.
This is a race where I'm not going to get involved from a single race standpoint. Hale will be too short. I don't think she's worth the price she's going to be on the morning line in the win pool. From a multiple race wager, I'd use Hale, I'd use Wealth Effect, but for me, mostly an unappetizing race. I think Hale has shown enough in 2 starts that if a Lasix can just move her forward a little bit more, she can win from stalking range. But I think the point you make about horses like this, and the point that Harvey Pack's been making for 50 years, you're not supposed to take a favorite to win, doing something they've never done. First time 2 turns, first time Lasix for Hale. If you are playing the Aqueduct Thursday card from home, please sign up to DRF Bets, $200 free bet just there for you. No deposit required. DRF.com/join is where you need to go. Use the promo code FREEBET09. An approximate post time for race number 3 at the Big A on Thursday to Busanda, 1:20 Eastern. Best of luck.